got to threaten somebody that's working in the system in that building.
Oh, is that why?
Oh yeah, when you see something right near where I was and we had a big conversation, then we know there's an American programmer walking there. See, my last motion was to identify that all the chips for the clones came from Rockwell International Semiconductor since 1987. And if you want to identify them, you get in. That's why they split up to Covet in 1996, 1999. Then they sold it to Skyworks Solutions and Mind Speed Technologies. And then Covet went bankrupt in 2013. When you see that many moves,
Where do you get all your information from?
well, it's just because
Vicky?
well, you know, I have this background, okay?
Yeah.
And when I know, the reason why I was buying Skyworks Solution, because I knew it was a chip provider Rockwell International was a major defense contractor,
Right.
one of the top ones since the 50s. Okay,
Right.
so and then they had they produced semiconductors, but never divided it off into its own division until much later. And then when right before 9/11, we got to get ready to hide the paper trail. You get it? So when you want to hide a paper trail, you have to start spinning off and bankrupting. Okay, and I saw that with the satellite companies that went bankrupt. They quickly came out in the 90s and went bankrupt quickly because that was providing all the satellites that they needed globally for the system. It was so big. And so the investors who were not in the program, their money was stolen. And then they wound up paying for the satellite a penny on the dollar. Okay, and that was put in my Houston case, okay, that these satellite companies were all a theft. It was Ponzi schemes. So when you see a Ponzi scheme going on, and you look at the names of Rockwell, we know the Rockefeller Foundation, the Rockefeller was big. So that's why they named it Rockwell International. International means the global thing.
Right.
Okay, so the clones got special chips in their head. The first ones that were produced in Area 51, okay, had to be put into the system. They would be at least 40 years old by now, and they'd be working all over this country, okay? And then overseas, the ones that are coming, like the Syrians, ISIS, since 1987, every war you got to assume was for developing millions of clones on the ground. So they're as old as 35, some of them. So if you want to find them, you get into Rockwell International's records and you get their IP addresses, and then you got them. So I put that in the case yesterday.
Wow.
I added motion to add Rockwell International and all their spin-offs as defendants in espionage, and exactly why I predicted that they had to be the one. Okay, and the reason why this is not just about recovering the money, it's stopping terrorist attacks here and globally. You got to identify the clone. Like this morning, what did we
Do you
have?
think they really want to stop the attacks?
We have to stop. Well, patriots do about
Yeah,
all nations, okay? And so you got patriots working in that building right there. That's why they did that fire, okay, to muzzle him, okay? That's whenever you see me in the area sharing big information, I see an incident come. Like, now what happened this morning?
What are they going to do to me when I'm talking to you?
Nothing, because I'm talking to them
Okay.
right now. So what happened with Will Smith, the killer?
Oh, yeah, they
Okay,
murdered
that
him.
was a clone that did that. First of all, Will Smith is the actor Will Smith and concussions. All concussions are caused by clone art programming like my husband. They don't have concussion damage. That's mind control programming to kill them, because how many of them know that all the games were set by the mind control system and the computer chip in the ball? A lot of them. And all owners are linked to espionage. They know that every game is set to a T, and it's using that system. So they're all guilty. That's all in my case. So, and also Smith is an assistant executive, Sharon Smith, who I met with in 2010, called her in 2007, didn't do her job. She knew my attorney was stabbed 6 times. She knew I had a powerful false claim case. That's why my attorney was stabbed. And she didn't do her job. She lied and said I gave her my stuff when I never did. She put that in a case in my case in 2011, which was perjury, and that was all in my motion on when I challenged the dismissal of the case on April Fool's Day, that she committed perjury, you know. And so because she didn't do her job, she never got my records before 2011. I met with her and challenged her about not defending. And my motion was, we've been denied counsel to protect our benefits and our lives. and that's not right. That's why you see in the news right now the Tulane law professor saying that these defendants in court in Louisiana jails in Orleans Parish have been being denied counsel, and you can't do that. And so you've denied us counsel. All my cases. Not only have you altered my records, but you denied the U.S. Citizens Council. You can't do that. You cannot, and we know that I have a justifiable case because all this stuff wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Okay, you know, and I know I witnessed the fraud. I don't even need to get in your records. The fraud was, if I had more, I work for Select Specialty of Conroe, owned by Select Medical Corporation out of Philly. That's why we had that train accident in that location. Amtrak, the third. Amtrak probably is tied to running the super subway underground too, some way, because that's 3 in about a year, and that's big. And so, but in that instance, in 1996, they were established after HCA, which was Columbia, was accused of wound care fraud, massive fraud, okay? And they were doing that to get them to participate in my husband's murder. HCA and Tenet were both accused of Medicare fraud to get them to participate in my husband's murder, which they did. And so so they went after them in the 90s to get them to do that murder and keep their mouth shut. And then so, but what happened is, so they developed Select Specialty, and the rule is, if I'm a small hospital and I lease your floor, then I can't have more than 25% of my patients coming for you. And all of them went into hospitals like East Jefferson, that had wound care centers. Well, I worked for Conroe Regional in 2003. They got 75 to 90% of their patients from the hospital they sat in, which is a violation. So that meant not one payment. That's a big rule, should be. So I don't have to get in your records. I know by patient census that you had violated it. And I knew that they were violating them all over, okay? And it wasn't, so, but I only went after Health Corporation of America. They own 3 hospitals. They had 3 hospitals that had one of those hospitals sit aside them in the state of Texas. The contract payer that was allowing it, Trailblazer, that was for all 3, and my company, and then the last one was Tri-Centurion, owned by Blue Cross. Blue Cross owns all our contract payers, but they're our auditor. You can't audit yourself. That's illegal. Okay, so in 2011 I came back because a lot of them shut down, sold, abandoned them, or they got out the building and stood alone, but they were still doing the same system. So they proved to me that how right I was, that it was all of them, and they sat in at least 40 states. So when I went back in 2011, I included all the parent companies, which were a lot, because I knew I had them, and that's big. Okay, and so that's why I don't, so my meeting, and in that case, Sharon Smith allowed them to say that I gave her my records from 2007 when I did not. Because I didn't know I was supposed to certify mail them to the U.S. attorney. I didn't do that until the 2011 case because they never educated me. They changed it, removed it, wasn't false claim. It was false claim, but they removed it and I didn't mail it. So how'd you get it? You didn't get it. When I met with you, you said you never got it. In front of witnesses. You said you never got it. And I told her that I was going to protect my family. And they knew I was working to refile it. Okay? And so I refiled it. I sent it to Jim Lenton and Eric Holder. And Jim Lenton, they seal it. It was only supposed to be sealed for 60 days. They arrested me on March 30th, drugged me severely. And then on April Fool's Day, 2011, Tony West, under Associate Attorney General under Washington, D.C., motioned to extend the sealing for 6 months. When you do that, you say, we're looking at it, we're considering to take it. Well, that was perjury because they lied. What they were doing was dissolving the Minerals Management Department that records all wells, and they wanted to make it harder to find my husband's well designs in Shell, now that they knew I knew. And so they dissolved it, and the motion to extend it was to 10/1. That's the day the Minerals Management Department dissolved. So the case was dismissed illegally on 8/1. The judge did not unseal it after 10/1. Waited till I'm on an airplane on going to Thailand on 2/27 from Hawaii when they unsealed it. And in that case, they lied twice. They lied and they said that Sharon Smith had received it and that I had mailed the case to other people and they got it. They lied. So all these counsel lied. And then Attorney West lied and said, "Oh, we're going to consider it. So we want to extend it for 6 months." And then there was an attempt on my life. When I went back to Houston during Isaac, they hacked in September 2011, they hacked my Mustang, spun it, and jammed it into the divider. And if I had resisted it, I probably would have got hurt, but I just let it go. So it slowed down before it hit the divider, so I didn't get hurt. But that was an attempt on my life. There's no doubt that that was.
Yeah.
Okay? And then when I went overseas, that was another attempt on my life. So you're trying to kill me, so when you did the Will Smith killing last night, you also did a fire on Lake Avenue in Metairie. That's where Bill People lived in an apartment on Lake Avenue. NASA engineer was killed.
Yeah, is anything an accident?
Nothing's an accident.
Okay.
They're all espionage. If it's in the news, you would assume it's espionage, and it's done by a clone. That's it, and that's what my case says. If it's in the news, it's espionage. Trump's erratic behavior is programming. Remember when Hillary barked like a dog? Programming. See, if Trump knew that he needed to take every thought captive and be careful about what he's thinking and acting on it, that there are two thoughts, his own thoughts, and then thoughts coming in from programming, he would be his whole actions would be totally different. I said that in court last Thursday, that her barking like a dog was programming. And Trump, if he knew his erratic behavior is clone or programming. Oh yeah, it is. Because he didn't fund the autism.
How do you fight your own erratic? I mean, did they try and control you?
All the time.
And how do you fight it?
I think about it. Why would they want me over there? See, right now, I'm going to the Baptist church. Now, why am I going? Because my mission is not just this one. I have to address all the churches. They've been stealing the money, the espionage, violating the taxes, and they're all divided. There's only one creator, and there was no Jesus Christ. That was a damn lie, okay? And so everybody diverted off of the Old Testament, okay? And so I have an assignment there. So I'm showing up. I show up. They teach on Ephesians. Then I go, well, I showed up 2 nights before I went to Bible study. Then I showed up in the women's Bible study, and I'm there to preach. Don't ever think I'm not. I know exactly why I'm there. I'm there to preach a message to the guys that are running the system there, that if you don't straighten up with me, don't think I can't take it all and ruin your career. When I've got you, Southern Baptist Convention, named in the case as an espionage in the Catholic Church, don't think I don't have any say as to how deep this espionage violations go, how far down. You know I do, okay? So what I'm saying is, so I'm there, and then the preacher teaches on the well, terrible preacher. So then, and he does enough things, comes in the Bible study when I'm there, so I know they all know they don't like me there. So I go back today, I get there late, same teaching in the women's Bible study, a whole different group of women. So, oh shit, I know I'm women helping men. Everything's done by 2. So I preached one thing last week. I said, oh, I missed a few things. Let's preach this. And then I even made notes on the paper, because when I'm making notes on the paper, they're hooked to my chip and they're seeing it. So they were like saying she had one was saying she had this pain in her rear. Like they're telling me I'm a pain in your ass. She spoke that under mind control. And when I left, she said it again. I wouldn't know. And I wiped my ass as I left. And then I didn't even bother to go to the preacher's sermon, because what I want them to know is that we got to get under one church, one body, and if you don't straighten your ass up, Baptists, you are just like a non-denominational. They all sit alone, you know. They're not like the Catholic Methodism. They all sit alone. Each pastor has the power over everything in a Baptist church. They sit just like Joel Osteen, every non-denomination, so they can be accused of espionage in a heartbeat. And so when I was downtown, I Facebooked the Will Smith thing, and I added that, how I went to church and what they did, and they're preaching to me while I'm preaching to them, and this is what I'm preaching to. If they don't straighten up, the Baptists, that not only will I can decide how far I'll go, and I can destroy every one of those churches and destroy the careers of every minister in that church. Right, because once you destroy a whole denomination, if you work for it, you can forget it.
Oh, sure.
So I'm wanting the lower levels the lower levels are the ones working in the system. I've met a lot of them. And I know that. So what I'm doing is, you got to be thinking twice about listening to your leaders, because you won't have a damn career when you finish. You get it?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. You have to think twice. And so when I see them trying to lure me someplace, I go, what's they're up to? And could that be to my advantage, right?
Yeah.
They even had to block me, to slow me down. They had two big, they know I go this route off of Cliff, and two big mobile homes blocked me, slowing me down. So they had to get all the women in play, and I walked in late, which was to my advantage, okay? And so they did all kind of things to slow me down. I said, oh.
That Obama poster is, in my mind, a crime. You're committing a crime.
Oh yeah? How much? So free speech is a crime? Free speech is a crime to you? Free speech is a crime.
This has gone beyond the boundaries of free speech, in my opinion.
So you are a fascist.
No, I'm not a
Well,
fascist.
you're denying me my First Amendment rights. Isn't that fascism?
You're not allowed to yell fire in a
I'm not yelling. What? This ain't
You're
this.
inciting to violence here. You're
What
inciting to violence.
incited? What violence do you see here? What violence?
Do not expect Congress or the authorities to deal with this, as they are equally as complicit in crimes against the people. That's a call to action. I find that is tantamount to yelling fire in a burning building. I am offended
So
by
you're an
that
authoritarian. You
No.
want to dictate to me
if you
what
don't
I
have
can say.
Excuse me. If you don't have
I wouldn't excuse you.
Excuse
There
me.
is no excuse for you.
This is Donald Trump's imitation. Excuse me. If you are not capable of arguments, don't get loud and don't use slogans. If you got an argument, let's hear it.
You, sir, are an authoritarian. You
No,
are
I am not.
dictating what I can say. You're saying that my free speech is insightful. Free speech should indeed create an emotion for you, as one way or the other.
I find that your free speech in this case has impinged upon the boundaries of my freedom.
Well, you know what? Fuck your freedom and fuck you. How's that?
Wow. High arguments from a guy maybe not capable of much better. Thank you very much.
Maybe I just couldn't penetrate your mind with a stick of dynamite.
Well, now there's another good idea.